Hello, my name is Muna Daud. I'm a biomedical engineering student at George Washington University. On behalf of Engineering Tomorrow, I would like to welcome you to our Inspired to Engineer video series.
Engineering Tomorrow is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to increase the number of high school students who enroll in college and pursue a degree in engineering. In addition to offering field trips to our engineering labs and local engineering sites in various cities, we also provide high school students with virtual lab experiences and virtual interviews with professional engineers around the world who are leaders in their respective fields. These engineers share their career experiences, discuss unique engineering challenges they've solved, and provide thoughtful advice to aspiring engineers.
Today, I'm pleased to introduce you to our guest, Mr. Jim McHale. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. McHale. Mr. McHale, could you please describe your path to becoming an engineer?
Sure. If I think back to when I was in high school, I don't really recall ever wanting to be an engineer. I was always interested in science, and I went on to college to study chemistry and eventually went on to get my PhD in chemistry. And then when I moved into industry, I found a job in engineering and in working as an engineer in General Electric, in a business unit of General Electric that actually made industrial diamonds. And through my career, I basically stayed in engineering from being an individual engineer to leading small engineering teams to eventually leading large engineering organizations with hundreds of people. And I've loved every bit of it along the way.
What would you consider to be the highlights so far in your diverse career in engineering?
Sure. Actually, you touched on it in the question there itself. What I've enjoyed the most throughout my career is the fact that I've been able to work on so many different types of problems with so many different people and see so many different places in the world. After my first job as an engineer with General Electric in the diamond making business, I moved on to American Standard, a plumbing, bath, and kitchen product company. And there I got to work in making many different new products with the team, stuff that you can see in Home Depot and Lowe's, new faucets, new toilets, lots of challenges that we face there. And in that role, also had the opportunity to work with the Gates Foundation on a very important public health issue in the world, which is sanitation in developing countries. There are somewhere around 2 billion people in the world that live without a functioning toilet, which winds up being one of the largest means of spreading disease through developing countries and poorer populations. And we worked with the Gates Foundation to develop some very simple products that can cost as little as $1.50 that people could use to take what they're currently using, which was generally a pit latrine, little more than a hole in the ground with a covering over it, and turn that into something that is more like a sanitary toilet for as little as $1.50 or $2, depending on the country. We turned that into a business unit, a part of American Standard's parent company, that developed products for over 15 countries, specific products that people could use and install that would fit their local customs, and eventually developed an entire portfolio of these products that are now sold in countries around the world, like Kenya and Uganda and Ethiopia, in Africa, Nigeria, Rwanda, also in Asia and Bangladesh, where we started this effort back in 2012. It all started in Bangladesh. India is a huge market for these products, and other places like Indonesia and the Philippines. And I got to see many of those countries working on that project, leading that business unit for American Standard. I then moved on from that to work with Global Infrastructure Partners, which is a private equity firm that develops or funds and operates enterprises in renewable energy. So wind farms that we have here in the United States, solar farms in Asia and other parts of the world. We also work in operating infrastructure assets like airports, like shipping ports, high-speed railways, and all of these infrastructure assets are really important for our functioning society and helping us move forward and combat big issues like climate change.
Do you see engineers having a role in finding solutions to the global crisis we're currently facing?
I absolutely do. If you think about the eventual solutions that we need to have for the COVID-19 pandemic, they're going to involve finding effective treatments or finding a vaccine that can prevent people from getting the disease in the first place. And if you take the vaccine, for example, it doesn't just involve medical doctors and geneticists and biomedical engineers to identify the DNA and the RNA that's in the virus to develop a vaccine. That's just the first step. There's then the many other steps of taking that laboratory solution and turning it into something that can be administered to literally billions of people worldwide. And the engineering challenges between the virus or the vaccine that works in a laboratory and a vaccine that is distributed to billions of people are numerous. How do you manufacture on a scale that can get to billions of people? You're going to have hundreds of engineers working and figuring out the manufacturing lines for producing this virus. How do you package it and distribute it throughout the world to the people that need it? All of these are engineering challenges that many fine engineers are going to need to solve. I often say to people, to understand how important engineering is in this world, just to take a look around them, wherever you're sitting, whatever room you're in, everything in that room, maybe except for a plant that might be decoration, and possibly even the plant, an engineer worked on it, an engineer developed it, an engineer made it into the product that it is. The paint on the walls, the carpet on the floor, the furniture that you might be sitting in, the computer that we're recording this on, right? All of this was done by engineers. So it's a fantastic field for anybody young and starting their life to really think about as a very bright future.
According to my capstone professor, failure is a requirement. In order to be successful, is it okay to experience failure? And can you tell us about an experience with a failure you've had?
Yeah, what I've learned through my career and even going back into my work in graduate school, I never really approached failure as failure per se. It was always to me just part of the learning process. So if I go back to graduate school, I would do experiment after experiment after experiment. And I had this mindset that if I do 100 experiments and one of them works, I'm the happiest guy in the lab, because you only really need the one to work. And every time the 99 that failed, as long as I learned something that led me to how to better design the next experiment, to me it was a success. And that same attitude really helped throughout my career, no matter what the problem was. If you were doing something, if you were trying something, and that something helped you learn how to solve the problem, it's not at all a failure. It's just a step in the process of learning and eventually solving the problem.
For those high school students who are currently deciding on a college and majoring in engineering, any advice would you like to give to them?
Well, I would absolutely say that it's something you should consider. If you're the kind of person that enjoys solving problems, enjoys having many different types of problems to solve, different challenges to think about, and if you're the type of person that wants to see lots of the world and work with lots of different people and just learn a lot about how the world works and be part of the solution for making things better, engineering is the field for you. And I'd highly recommend it. It's been great for me.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Inspired to Engineer. Thank you for watching.